Welcome to the Strong Couples Blueprint podcast.
So on this podcast, we're going to talk about a few different topics. We're going to dive into the nutrition world, the health and fitness world, talk about some kind of gym kind of hacks, some of our kind of clients' just experiences, and really try and make it relevant to everyone listening.
Yeah.
So the first thing we're going to go into today, we're going to kind of start from the beginning and kind of then work it forward. So we're going to go into our story, where we started individually and how we got into the fitness industry. Then in terms of exactly how we started G&M and why we kind of joined kind of forces together and how all that worked. And then go on to just some points in time what nearly broke us and what we kind of had to overcome and kind of work together with to kind of find a new kind of solution to it all.
Yeah. Just so you know the story behind G&M.
So what I'll do, I'll start off, I'm just going to start quizzing Meg and see how she kind of adapted and how she got into kind of the whole industry itself. So do you want to kind of start with kind of your story?
Yeah.
So I would say I've always been into fitness, obviously as you know. Mum and dad were always into fitness, always encouraged me to do different sports, go to like different fitness classes, and then really got into dance, and then decided that I wanted to do
dancing as a career. That then went into musical theatre. So then once I was in musical theatre, I was in dance college. I went to a professional dance college in Nottingham. Did that for 3 years, and throughout that whole process got a really like disordered eating habits, and
yeah, you did some good diets.
Yeah, I did some
good
great diets,
positive diets.
Absolutely great diets.
What was your favourite?
Well,
not the worst,
well, should we say the worst?
Yeah.
The worst diet I did was apparently
Beyonce's diet that she used to lose loads of weight for Dreamgirls.
Yeah, bulletproof.
Because in Dreamgirls she had to play like a teenager, so she had to lose like a shit ton of weight. So what she apparently did was, it was called the maple syrup diet.
Nice.
But it was like this special syrup.
Nice and healthy.
And I was like a really broke student at the time, and I paid like 50 quid for this freaking... Me and a girl went halves on it.
Yeah.
So we did 25 quid each on this big bottle of like fucking condensed syrup. And you mix that with boiling hot water, obviously for metabolism. A sprinkle of cayenne pepper.
Yeah.
And fresh lemon juice.
Nice.
But we were broke students, so we had to use, like the lemon juice that you put on pancakes.
we used that.
So you couldn't get the fresh stuff?
Couldn't get the fresh stuff. And we drank that like 4 times a day. So like basically it was like when you feel like you're going to faint, have a hot syrup drink and you're good.
How did that go down?
Yeah, I lost a shit ton of weight. Was
half so away.
Yeah, crazy. I was about 6 stone anyway. And then obviously like instantly from that, I remember specifically I lost loads of weight. We had this big Asian showcase that I wanted to be like for, because you're more likely to get picked if you look the part, and if you like, we were just constantly told in college, and it was like really forced. So like I'd lose loads of weight, and all of my tutors would be like, "Meg, you look amazing,"
yeah,
and you'd get put in the middle, you'd get put as a lead, like because you looked the part. Like it didn't matter that I fainted backstage. That was like shushed. So yeah, then I was doing this diet then for the Asian showcase.
Like did well with that, got agent callbacks and stuff like that, had to go in for more meetings and things. And then like a few weeks later, like it was then my 21st. So then went back to eating as normal, like going out for meals, went for drinks. Obviously the maple syrup diet was not sustainable. It literally got me through probably 2 weeks, and just pulled loads of weight back on. And then wondered where it had all come from. And I was like, but I did that diet, I'm so confused. And then it was really that triggered me to be like, how can I do something and get into the shape that I want, but long term, without then having to revert back to...
Yeah, because then like, the only solution you know in your head to get yourself back to there is going back on the maple syrup, but it's just going to do the same thing over and over again.
Or a different variation of.
And to be fair, obviously from your experience, we've obviously got a lot of client now from the same college that went through the same thing. Like, what was the story you told me before in terms of like the crisps?
Yeah, I the same tutor that would always compliment me for being super, super skinny, he caught me with a bag of crisps one day just before going into his lesson, and in front of my whole class and like other students throughout the college. This was when I was in second year, I think. So there were like some third years in there. He was like, "What are you eating them?" And I was like, "Oh,
I'm hungry."
yeah, it's just a snack. Like I'd just been, and it was probably like one of the only things I'd eaten all day.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, I'm just eating a bag of crisps." He was like, "Right, next time you're in my class, I want a presentation on why crisps are bad for you."
It's balmy, innit?
And legit, I had to go into my next lesson with him, my little shitty laptop. I had this presentation on why specifically Walker's cheese and onion crisps are so terrible for you. And I had to show it to my whole class. And it was like, it was a laugh, it was a joke.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really.
Nah, there's still meaning behind it.
It was like, look at Meg, size 4, tiny. She's not going to eat crisps again. And this is what, do you know what I mean? Like, it was like everyone was laughing and it was light-hearted, but it wasn't.
Yeah. And obviously it's so different to kind of how we coach now. Like, oh my God, that tutor had so much authority in that position, and you are going to believe everything they say. But that topic, obviously, they dive into in terms of nutrition, if they're not educated for and they don't actually know it, the amount of harm that could then kind of pass down.
Oh my God, unbelievable. Like, he was
so lovely and incredible at what he did.
Because he probably didn't know. Like, this is what he's ever learned.
And like, what I have him on Facebook now, and he's that typical person that sees an article and then the next second he's not eating tomatoes because of the
radical antioxidants or whatever, or he's vegan now because of the whole veganism movement, because of, you know, the different documentaries on Netflix and all of that shit. So yeah.
So you draw a line.
Well, I drew a line under it from college, then started doing my PT qualification.
But then I would add from that, I was doing my PT qualification, but then I was still working within the dance industry. So obviously we met whilst I was doing my PT qualification. So I was training properly, or as properly as I kind of could at that time.
We thought back then.
I thought I was training properly.
Get the glute bands out.
Yeah, glute bands. God love them. And then I went on tour.
Yeah.
And then I relapsed massively.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd got hold of these habits, and then I got back into that world. I got back on tour. I think, to be fair, like, it was for different reasons. I wasn't then on tour thinking, I need to be really skinny, I need to be really skinny, I need to not eat. It was more that I just fell back into bad habits.
Yeah.
It wasn't a conscious thing where I was
back in that environment where this is what I used to do.
I was in tiny little outfits every time, and I associated getting into tiny outfits back in college.
So then it was like, I think I never thought I'm going to starve myself on tour, but it just kind of came naturally.
Yeah, kind of like that work mentality, and it like that's what you got told from day one.
And that's what I was rewarded for in that job previously. So then,
so suddenly for you to be able to get out there and perform well, you need to go and drop 5 kg over 1 week, and then you're the best what you can be.
1000%. I was eating like 1 packet of noodles a day.
Should be kettle.
With my kettle.
That didn't help though, because I was living in a travel lodge.
But yeah, and then obviously that's kind of built us on to kind of where we are now, to be helping out people in that same thing. It's taught you so much, and you can kind of relate massively.
Literally, it's the driving force for me to be like, I have not been back to those restrictive habits since that tour 5 years ago. And that is the driving force for me as to... Because I haven't even touched on like all of the crazy cardio and stuff that I was doing. Like back in college, oh my God, so I'd do 12-hour days at college. 10 hours of those were intensive dance classes. Like 3 hours of that was a mad ballet class where you didn't stop jumping. Then you've got commercial classes, there was an hour's workout. Then after college, I would run to the gym. I'd go and do an hour of cardio and abs at the gym, wouldn't touch the weights. And then I'd run back home. And the run was from Nottingham City Centre it was like a half an hour run. Like it was like what I used to do was crazy unhealthy. And I just literally, like, my driving force now is I don't do any cardio. I should do more cardio. I walk. I do a daily walk. You know, I should do more cardio. Like, I really should. I need to get into
Think of that heart health.
For that heart health. But I I keep the physique that I have now
Yeah.
because I eat, because I fuel my body, because I do a little bit of cardio.
Get your steps in.
I get my steps in.
Yeah.
And that I just wanted, that's the main passion, isn't it? Is
Yeah.
that I don't ever want anyone to be in the position that I was in. Never.
Yeah, you've been able to kind of take your
Or if
own
they were,
experiences.
if they were, or if they are, or if they've experienced anything similar, I want to be like that living proof that no, you can be healthy.
Yeah.
You can look fantastic, and you don't have to do all of that shit.
No. It's just people jump on the back of extreme. People love extreme.
Yeah.
Anything what's going
Quick fix.
Yeah, quick fix. Out of the ordinary. People dive to it, and that's why that maple syrup diet.
Yeah. I saw that and I was like, that is it.
Yeah.
That's
the
it.
missing piece. That's what I need to get over.
That's what's been going wrong.
Yeah.
I haven't had that maple syrup. I thought that was a magic ingredient.
Yeah. Stick it in your pancakes instead.
Literally, it's crazy to think that back then, like, my education was so bad on food that I didn't think that it was actually just that I wasn't eating.
Yeah.
It was this maple syrup. I was like, it's magic. This brand of maple syrup that they've created, that is what is making me drop all of this weight, not the fact that I haven't eaten in
4 days.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's like, we can laugh now, but oh my God.
Yeah. But when you're in that moment, it's hard to kind of make that like attachment to what's really kind of doing it. I think a lot of people fall into that category where you can be that kind of stuck in your way that you're not looking anywhere. That real kind of tunnel vision. That's what I'm looking for. Like you're like, this is it. This is what I've got to do, and not looking a little bit outside the box, thinking, you know what, there's a whole world out there of different ways I could be kind of getting there.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, then got you into the fitness industry.
Yep, here we are. So that's me. How did you get into the fitness industry?
So mine is nowhere near as kind of in-depth and emotionally spurred on and
Dramatic,
overcoming barriers as that. Basically, from probably the age of about 15, 16, I knew I wanted to coach. I knew I wanted to be a PT. It literally just felt, it was always, I enjoyed performance, I enjoyed sports, I enjoyed the idea of trying to become like the best at something and putting your own body in a position where it's like kind of like superhuman type thing, like you're overcoming kind of barriers physically. It just fell in line. Like I come out of school, did really well through GCSEs, and I then decided to just jump straight into kind of a sports science background without even kind of thinking about anything else, just because you know what, that's what I wanted to do. It wasn't like a second choice. It wasn't like, okay, I've messed up.
There was no plan B.
Yeah, it wasn't like I failed my maths and failed like my sciences, and it was like, no, this is what I do want to do. Literally from there, when I was straight into college doing it, kept going down the kind of sport route.
Yeah, because I think it can be seen as
a plan B.
Oh, you're not good at anything else, so you just be a PT.
Yeah, because to be fair, like going into like, obviously, how it was deemed at the time, like you went into a BTEC if you didn't do well at GCSEs.
Yeah.
When it was the opposite for me, it was, you know, this BTEC is actually telling me what I want to know. Like,
so what's the point in you doing 2 years of A levels?
Yeah.
To learn something else completely different and then go
across into it.
Yeah.
And for ages, I went back and I was like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Like I was good at maths, I was good at physics, I was good at stuff like that.
Because don't you think it's mad? Even me with college, because of my parents, they were like, get your A levels just in case.
Yeah.
I've never used them.
Yeah.
What was the point? What a waste of 2 years.
Some of my teachers said to me, like, oh, sticking with it, do
Back
your A
yourself
levels, do maths A levels, physics A levels, you can still do your PE. But it wasn't that for me. It was like, you know, this is what I want kind of my whole life to be. I enjoy physical activity. I enjoy kind of the coaching. I like working quite kind of closely to people when it's got a goal in mind. So I went straight down the route. Obviously, I'd done my BTEC sports science. Then from there, went straight to kind of university, done again sports science. And then the modules I cared about the most was all of the kind of applied science, where it was like, you know, I'm going to be able to take this information. Like biomechanics, absolutely loved, because it was getting something. I was like, every single bit of topic I learned, I was like, I can apply that. I can use that differently. I'm going to be able to help someone out with that. And it went down that whole path. And then after finishing uni, went and actually coached for a bit, done like a bit of kind of football coaching, come back, and then second, a personal training job become available in what I deemed at the time exactly where I wanted to work. It was just
meant to be.
Yeah, meant to be. Like no kind of second guessing it. This is all I've ever wanted to do. It was no kind of halfway through my life thinking, well, that ain't working for me. Maybe I'm in good shape. I can run for a while. I'm going to jump into this. It was like, no, from day one, everything I'm doing here has been in line for this one single job. What has now obviously changed and transformed over the years, going from being like a PT to more like an online coach, and now doing a bit of everything. Like, it has worked really well.
Amazing. It was in the stars.
So yeah, nowhere near as dramatic or as life changing as kind of Meg's kind of approach, but it was just different. I kind of knew from day one what I wanted to do. There was no kind of side tracking me there, so that was good. Yeah. But then obviously from there, we'll go straight into it. Like, we then started building G&M, and there was a few kind of, to be fair, still some kind of transition points before that. So for me, I hit a few barriers in the early stages of becoming a PT.
Yeah.
One.
This is your dramatic story.
I'm going to try and not make it too dramatic. I could really make it dramatic, but it wasn't.
He nearly died.
I nearly died, like it was. Dived into obviously PT and overworked, slept, pre-workout in the morning just to get me into the work, an extra.
I find that mad.
What?
That you used to take pre-workout to get you out of bed.
Funny though. It was. That was
I remember when you told me that, and I was
yeah.
like, what?
Well, it was the whole thing, and what they're saying now, it's becoming a massive trend again now. I heard it again on the radio the other day, where it's on about you drink coffee, you go back to sleep, and you wait for the caffeine to kind of wake you back up.
Yeah.
So instead of using coffee, because I didn't drink coffee back then, I used pre-workout instead. So I'd have a scoop of pre-workout, go to sleep, wait for the pre-workout to hit me up, and then I'd be into work. Because it was like 12, 13, 14-hour days. And I was trying to grow a PT business. At the same time, I had to do 40 hours for the gym I was in. And I started quite well, and before I knew it, I was up to like 15, 16 sessions a week. So then that was up to like 56 hours of actual work, let alone your gaps in between, let alone your own training, let alone your programming. Before you know it, you're on this 65 kind of hour week. And I just crashed. Completely out of the blue. I worked that Saturday morning. Then when I met my mate, started laughing, and my lung collapsed. Like there and then on the spot, didn't have a clue what was going on. And I remember, like, my mate who was kind of with me at the time was like, I chucked him up my car keys, like, you're going to have to take me to hospital. So, something's gone wrong here. I thought my back had gone at first because it was like a weird pain all down my side. And I got in the car and I remember going, nah, like, I ain't making it to hospital here. So we then jumped on the phone, then called 999 and drove up to my house because it was only like around the corner from where we was. And that then, the whole experience of, you know what, I was waiting for like the ambulance to come. It was like only minutes, they were really, really quick. But it was that whole kind of process of, this is feeling like a lifetime, mate. This is weird. Yeah. This is weird. Something ain't right.
Everything's in like slow motion.
And then, long story short, I'm not going to kind of bore everyone too much about it, but ambulance then come. They took me into kind of hospital. They got me on gas and air, but it was absolutely brilliant. And I remember absolutely like, they tried to take it off me when I got to the hospital. So I got to the hospital. Obviously, they knew that I was a PT, obviously telling them about my life. So I was like, okay, you've pulled something, you've hurt something. They were adamant about steroids to start with. They're like, oh, have you been taking anything? It's like, no, I'll be bigger than this. Like, come on, give me a chance. And we got into the hospital, and we were waiting to actually be kind of like referred through there. I still had kind of the gas and air. They wanted to try and take the gas and air off me. I was like, nah, not a chance. I remember my legs wrapped around it, my arms wrapped around it, going, I'm in too much pain here. There is no way you're getting this off me. Like, I was laughing and joking to the woman at the time, because obviously I was on the gas and air. I didn't even know what was going on, but I remember thinking, you cannot take this away from me. This is the only thing taking a little bit of kind of pain relief. And obviously they then were going down the lines of like muscle soreness. So they gave me like diazepam, I think it was, like muscle relaxant, and nothing was happening. And then they're trying to send me home. They're like, there's nothing more we can kind of give you right now. That's it. And I was like, nah, I'm going nowhere. Like, there is something seriously wrong. And then they decided, after probably about another hour, to x-ray my lungs. Well, just like all my chest area. And that's when they saw there was only like one lung there, because the other one had been filled up with fluid. So it then goes like blurry. But I remember being in the x-ray room, and the guy was going to me, he says, what are you in here for? It's like, I went, they're just doing this so that they can then discharge me. And he literally followed me back to the room. And before I knew it, I was rushed then into kind of intensive care. They were then kind of putting a tube through my back to then start kind of getting all kind of fluid out. And that was the beginning of kind of the downhill, like spiral then. It was like, I think I was in hospital for maybe 12 days. I lost, great diet, 12 kg, I think I lost in 12 days. Come out of there absolutely tiny, ill, couldn't walk without getting out of breath. Like, it was a proper uphill battle.
You were like back to, well, not even square one. You were at like -10.
Yeah, -10, and going back into a fitness industry, like 8 weeks after this has happened, being half the size when the fitness industry can be very, very vain. So I was absolutely broken then. And that was a point where I was like, you know what, something's got to change. And I went to make kind of a bit of a rash decision, but I was going to jump into more of a managerial role in the gym in terms of helping out other PTs. Like I did start really well, picked up clients really quick. And I thought, you know what, I'll make this step over into more of kind of a management-based thing
like
where
corporate system.
I had a little bit more of job security, and I thought, how everything's just gone wrong for me, I'm going to go with that instead.
Just in case it happens again.
Yeah, I got turned down for that role very, very quickly, even though I thought I was a very, very good candidate. And now, off the back of it, I'm so glad they did turn me down, because the whole ideas I went to them with in terms of online stuff, they shot down. I wasn't a yes guy. I was going to challenge them every single time they come to me with something. And it ended up obviously working really well, because it was one of the reasons I went for that same job again like a year later. And it's one of the main reasons why we then come together and went, we got to start something up separate. I said, this ain't working here. We've been trapped in an absolute bubble here where there's only one way to kind of help people. I remember going on a course because they were pushing me on to become like a master trainer. Bearing in mind, I knew nothing about coaching at this point, but just because I had a lot of clients, they just loved it. And I forgot where I was going then with that. Completely lost my train of thought.
You went on a course?
Yeah, I went on a course, yeah. And I remember the main guy, he was deemed really high in the company as like one of the best PTs they ever had. And
I remember
he was
him.
going to us, he was like, oh, why do you do what you do? And I was like, because I really like helping people. And he was like, oh, but that can't be your goal. I was like, why? He says, because look at your clients now. He says, how many of them clients do you truly help? Like in terms of making real long-term transformations, like, oh yeah, you're kind of right there. I was like, I've got quite a few at the moment, and only like 2 or 3 are really doing well. And it got into my head thinking, okay, maybe that isn't my goal in this career like I thought it was going to be able to. Maybe I can't. Instead of actually going, okay, look at what we're doing now.
That is the goal.
What is wrong with what I'm doing? The goal can't change. The goal stays the same. But what are we currently doing wrong? And what we're doing wrong was one-to-one, face-to-face PTing.
Yeah.
Doesn't work. You can't work with enough people. They get way too comfortable in that hour session. You then end up having them for a year. They become so reliant on that. They don't change the food. They don't train on their own. They don't do any of that stuff. And the solution was right there in terms of something I was trying to do anyway, but they wouldn't let me, in terms of then swapping over to the online. Mm-hmm. And obviously that is then when we then started up kind of G&M coaching. Mm-hmm. But obviously before that happened, obviously we met each other. So
in the gym?
Yeah, in the gym. So that's probably another topic that we should probably go on to before going through the G&M stuff. Do you want me to carry on? Or do you want to talk us through that experience?
Of meeting each other?
Of meeting me. No, it's a big part of kind of how it happened, because I was PTing.
Yeah.
I had a client, already knew of Meg, but I don't think we'd ever actually had a conversation.
No.
We never actually ever talked. But I was PTing a girl at the moment, the sales manager, stood a client now, and
yeah, she is.
She knew that we knew each other, and she just involved.
Well, she was a mutual friend, wasn't she?
Yeah, yeah.
So I'd known her like 3 years previous, hadn't spoke to her in literally 3 years, and she was from Nottingham.
Yeah.
Where, funnily enough, we'd both studied.
Yeah.
But again, just our paths just hadn't crossed. I'd then moved back to Birmingham.
Yeah.
She was currently getting PT'd by you.
Yeah.
She messaged me out of the blue when she saw that I'd moved back to Birmingham, and she was like, do you want to come in and train with me? So I went in and trained with her a few times. Then she was like, do you want to come to my PT session? And I was like, yeah, I'll come to a PT session with you. I'll see you with a PT.
Yeah. And then the rest is history.
I was going to say the same.
The PTing didn't happen for a while. No, it didn't.
No, it was only one. No, 2 sessions.
Like
it was like 2 sessions.
Yeah.
And then George will insist that I slid into his DMs, but I didn't.
She did. She
did not.
It was just for the fitness class, apparently.
It was.
But you did slide into the DMs.
It was for the fitness class.
Yeah. And then obviously when stuff started to materialise a lot more, then you were at a different stage in your fitness career then, when you were actually going through your course a lot more, getting that qualification done. And then you come and joined me at David Lloyd's working.
Well, no, I was self-employed first.
Yeah, you went self-employed first.
I was at that gym in the Jewellery Quarter in town. And then it was just tricky going like self-employed for your first time as a PT.
That's the big thing I'll say. So if there's
yeah.
any PTs listening,
just
there isn't
because
a straight route to becoming good at doing it.
No.
But I'd definitely say going into a commercial gym, even though the gym that we left wasn't good at the end, at the start, it was great.
It's great for building
getting
up rapport.
so many people in front of you, just to learn the tricks of the trade.
Get yourself in a gym where you can teach classes, where...
Do a bit of everything.
Yeah.
Learn your actual niche. Like, you get pushed on you so much, like, but what type of people do you train?
Work
what
with
does your
every
avatar
kind of
of your
client. Yeah.
It's like, you don't know that when you first start.
No,
If someone asked me at the start, all I said it'd been an elite sport. Now I absolutely love working with the day-to-day lifestyle based transformation.
It's crazy because like, even when we started together, you're like, oh, I really want to coach athletes.
Yeah.
Now, if we have anyone kind of inquire about a more like athletic program, you're less inclined to do it than actually just standard just helping someone get from A to B in their general life. Yeah. Which brings us back to how did G&M then form?
Yeah, so
so then I started working at the gym that you were working at.
You joined me.
After I think we'd been together, I don't know, maybe like 6 months, a year.
Yeah, about a year then. You then come and joined me there. We were there for a while.
I was there for like 11 months.
Yeah.
But I think we decided that we were going to come together about 6 months into that.
Yeah, it was after that second interview I was on about when I got turned down for that again. When I really believed that I was the absolute perfect candidate for that role.
Yeah, you should have got the role.
But
thank God you didn't.
Thank God I didn't. It was not worth it, the stress. But it kind of worked out well. We then come off the back end of that and went, you know what, we're going to launch our first challenge. The first challenge we ever did was just with our clients, where we just created a prize fund. Then the second one, we'd done one straight away after, what we wasn't allowed to be doing at the time as well, in the gym we were in. So it was like, it was quite
illegal.
Hush. It was quite hush, so we couldn't really push it and brand it as much. But then the second, obviously, we left that gym, obviously we had the goals of being able to kind of go to Dubai, obviously COVID, but we made the transition then into the online world just before that, what allowed us to then really kind of keep the ball rolling. When COVID hit, we already had the platform for everyone to come onto. And that was the start of G&M coaching. Well, G&M Fitness.
G&M Fitness.
What people still call us. That's really annoying.
We've only been G&M coaching for 2.5 years, but we move.
Yeah, because we're not just about fitness, we coach. My nephews still call us G&M Fitness.
G&M Fitness.
Even though we tell them it's not. I swear they're just doing it.
They do it on purpose now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's us. G&M. It's actually nice to look back because we don't ever...
Yeah. We don't really ever recap like that.
No.
It's always thinking about the next goal. The
next thing.
You forget how far you've come.
We're so guilty of like almost living in the future and being like, what's next? Without actually appreciating how far we've come.
Actually enjoying the moment.
And that is the story of G&M.
Yeah, so hopefully we haven't bored you all. Good.
Probably. There's no one listening at this point. They all switched off at the 10-minute mark.
First podcast has gone well.
0
I'm guessing
views.
you get to see how far and how long people stay on for as well. When we see everyone's dropping off after soft. Well, they're not even going to see this bit, so it's pointless.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that is our story.
Mm-hmm. The next episode. Yeah. We really want any hopeful listeners. To message in. So if you have experienced kind of anyone in your life that has like limited what you've been able to do with your fitness journey,
partner, friend, family, we've got a few stories to go off ourselves from clients, from our own experience as well, what we're going to definitely dive into, and then how we've kind of helped them overcome it as well, and how we found ways around it ourselves, because it's not easy. There ain't a one rule, you've just got to say these words and you get away with it. There is different ways to kind of handle the different situations. But we'll talk about a few things, but we'd love to hear some more kind of examples from you. Yeah,
and any questions, anything that you think we might be able to help with.
And if it's happening like right now, we'll give you some advice, exactly how to overcome it.
Definitely.
Or we'll try anyway.
Thanks for listening.